War is terrifying. Not because you are afraid for yourself, though you are, but because of what is happening around you. What is happening to everyone and everything you have ever known and loved. War is terrifying because thousands of innocent people and children die. Some of them your friends and family. War is terrifying because even if you survive, you have still lost your life as you knew it. War is terrifying because you don't know if the next bomb that falls, and it does fall, will kill you, or your family, or your friend. War is terrifying because when you wake up and you hear that someone else's house was bombed and not yours, you thank God that it was not your house. War is terrifying because it's not just guns or the bombs that will kill you, but because if you are unwell, you are not sure if there are any doctors to treat you or if there is a hospital left. War is terrifying because when you leave your house to get bread and water, you don't know if you will find any bread or water or have a house to come back to. War is terrifying. It's been a year since my life and every Ukrainian's life has been turned upside down. Before this year, I always knew that war was terrible, something that no one should have to live through. Since 2014, when Russian terrorists attacked Donbass, we have been seeing pictures and videos of people who are killed, people who have lost everything, people who become refugees. But even living in a country at war for almost 8 years, when war comes to you, nothing prepares you for what war really is. On February 24th at 4:35 a.m., the first Russian missiles flew to the north of Ukraine. Then they hit Kiev, Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Odessa, Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, Mariupol, Zaporizhia, Dnipro, Berdyansk, Melitopol, Kherson, and many others. I remember the explosions waking me up. I remember getting out of my bed, walking to my window. It was then when I realized that my life had changed forever. I remember my boss calling me shortly, telling me that I have to get ready slowly and get to the office. I remember drinking my coffee. I remember waiting for the bus and getting on the bus. I remember that passengers on the bus being confused. Several old women asked what is going on, and cars were everywhere around us. The traffic jams had already started. Everyone was desperately going somewhere to be safe, to get away from the war. Where they were going, I don't know, because there is nowhere you can go to be safe in war. I remember looking at them with sadness and realizing that I cannot not tell them. So I said, I'm very sorry. but the war has started. I don't think I understood what war was then. I don't think anyone did. Then it seemed that everything started to collapse around me. There were so many people running around everywhere. It felt like chaos. The sound of gunfire and explosions seemed to be coming from every direction. I remember being anxious. I remember feeling completely alone, even though I was surrounded by people everywhere. I remember I took my grandmother and went to the bomb shelter. I remember being in that bomb shelter with many people, none of who knew what was happening. I remember sleeping 2-3 hours a night. I remember curfew lasting a few days in a row. I remember standing in the line for 3 hours to buy something to eat. I remember buying as much food as I could carry because I didn't know how long my family would need this food for. I remember not eating bread for 2 weeks because we couldn't buy any. I remember the joy when I brought home 2 warm, freshly baked white loaves of white bread. We just sat and ate that delicious plain bread. I remember the reports of people dying, of the Russians coming for us, taking settlements, towns, cities all around Ukraine. I remember the Russians coming for Kiev. I remember the saboteurs and collaborators trying to create panic and kill everyone who stood in their way. I remember watching videos of a Russian tank driving over a car with an old man inside it, and I remember how happy I was seeing that old man was held by people around him and he survived. I remember my neighbors preparing Molotov cocktails in the yards. We gave bottles, built fortifications, prepared to resist the enemy with whatever we could. And I remember the 60 kilometers column of Russian tanks. I remember Russians came to Hostomel. I remember them destroying our Mriya, dream, the largest aircraft in the world, the pride of every Ukrainian. And I remember there were 5 million of people that time before the war in Kiev, and after that it felt empty, abandoned, forgotten. There were about 1 million people left in the city. I remember Bucha. Irpin. Azovstal. Kherson. Kramatorsk. Vinnytsia. Mariupol. resume. I remember many more terrible tragedies. I remember many bloody battles. I remember the videos of Russian soldiers torturing Ukrainian prisoners. I remember the Russians massacring our soldiers at Olenivka and trying to blame Ukraine for it. I remember feeling anger like I've never felt. I remember my rage at the Russian terrorists. I remember feeling that no matter what, we would not let them win. I remember knowing that we would rebuild our Maria, a better Maria, a stronger Maria, a more powerful Maria. I remember knowing that our new Maria dream would belong to every Ukrainian. It would be a symbol for a better, stronger, more powerful Ukraine. I remember my friends from all over the world calling me, asking me, Maria, why are you still there? Come here, it's safe here, we have space for you. I remember complete strangers offering me their home as refugees. Strangers from America, the UK, Germany, Poland, Italy, China, Canada, Estonia, Lithuania, Portugal, Latvia, and so many others. I could have gone anywhere, but I didn't want to. Many people left, and it's right that they went, but it was not right for me. I couldn't leave my family. I couldn't watch Russia's terror from TV screens far away. I remember the children who buried Ukrainian books and flags in their yards so that occupiers wouldn't find and kill them. I remember the people who were under the occupation of the brutal Russian terrorists, who had everything stolen from them, the people who were murdered, tortured, the children who were kidnapped. But I also remember my great-grandmother Maria, who survived World War II, whose husband was captured by Nazis and taken to the Buchenwald concentration camp. And I remember how she survived 3 famines and how she looked for her husband until her death, aged 95. And I remember how she taught me that we must believe in good. And I remember how she was telling me that we must help people who need help, big or small. And I remember knowing our people need help. I remember the man who stopped the tanks with bare hands, the woman who brought the Russian occupiers seeds from the sunflowers and told them to put it in their pockets so that sunflowers would grow on the fields after their death. I remember starting my social media so I could listen to what the world was saying. I remember starting the fundraise for our soldiers. I remember volunteering in organizations to help my country, my soldiers, warriors, my people, my friends and my family. I remember becoming an activist, a fighter for justice, independence, and freedom. And I remember the joy I felt watching Russian warship Moskva sink. And I remember standing in the line in the main post office in Kiev, 8 hours straight, 2 days in a row, to buy famous Russian warship Go F Yourself stamps to raise funds for the armed forces of Ukraine. I remember our kings, our soldiers of the sky, protecting us from the evil of Russian bombs and warplanes. I remember the ghost of Kiev shooting down Russian warplanes every day and every night. I remember knowing that ghost of Kiev was there and we would keep fighting, no matter what. Even if only we had sticks and stones. And even today, I know that ghost of Kiev is protecting us while we are sleeping. And the ghost of Kiev is with us as we stand up to Russia's terrorism every day. War is not just about territory, weapons, or human suffering. It's not just about casualties and statistics. It's not just about fear, doubt, or grief. It is about giving hope to those who can no longer find it. It's about convincing those who have lost strength that there is a better life. It's about fighting for your beliefs, your ideas, your values. It's about standing up to injustice and evil. It's about having strength to follow through with your convictions. It's about life and death. It's about sacrifice. It's about believing in the impossible. And yes, it's about victory, our victory. Then it's about rejoicing together, crying together, rebuilding together. And that time will come soon. As the famous Ukrainian writer Taras Shevchenko said, "Battle on and you will win the battle." Each Ukrainian has its own story during the war, many similar to mine. Each Ukrainian carries an infinite pain, a common human tragedy, and yet not losing hope that we will win. We are Ukrainians, unbreakable and invincible. We will fight and we will win. Slava Ukraini!